What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined by my co-host, Alex Wilson. And week 2 is in the rear view. Now it's Chiefs week. New York Giants preparing to go up against the 0-2 Kansas City Chiefs on primetime on Sunday. And if they want to win, well, they're going to need a better performance from their defense. Shane Bowen has received a lot of valid criticism over the last couple of days for what was a really disappointing performance from this defense. As I said on yesterday's reaction and recap episode of Week 2, I didn't think we would be losing games this season because of the defense. I thought it would be the offense, if anything, but now here we are, and the defense ranks near the bottom of the league in nearly every single major statistic. And last week's performance, in the dying embers of that game, the Giants had an opportunity to make a stop and win. And Shane Bowen, well, his play calling was confusing to say the least. And Brian Daboll seemed to be just as confused as all of us with some recent comments that he gave to the media. So we're going to kind of react to that. Is Brian Daboll scapegoating Shane Bowen? Is he throwing him under the bus? Or is he rightfully just examining what happened on Sunday and saying, hey, the defense was an issue? Alex, how are you doing today, my friend? And what's your take here on Brian Daboll and Shane Bowen?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, obviously, it would have been better if we won, but the truth of the matter is, you mentioned the word scapegoat when it comes to Shane Bowen and what Brian Daboll is kind of saying, and I don't really think scapegoat is the right way to put it. I think that pointing in the direction of failure is Shane Bowen failed in multiple key critical moments against the Dallas Cowboys. The team was flabbergasted at the decision-making and the play calls that he was making to defend against Dak Prescott. And what I mean by that is they should have been playing tighter coverage, and Brian Daboll said that verbatim. We should have been in tighter coverage against Jake Ferguson in the middle of the field when Dak Prescott was able to read the field and make a predetermined throw. This is one of the best quarterbacks in the league when he's healthy. Like, everybody knows that. He's extremely intelligent when it comes to making his reads and progressions and getting the ball out quickly. And Shane Bowen has to understand what he's going up against for him to be successful, and I don't necessarily think that Shane Bowen knows what he was or knew what he was doing in that critical moment. And the Giants lost because of Shane Bowen's play calling, not because of the talent on the defensive side of the football. They have more than enough talent to win football games, and let alone give up 40 points against the Cowboys, who are a good offense, but that was a bit egregious. I think that when it comes to Bowen, we need to be thinking about how we can design this defense to maximize its strengths, but also match up well with our opposition.
No, I agree with you. I don't necessarily see this as scapegoating either. I understand why some Giants fans would take that perspective. I mean, you look back on Brian Daboll's history, there's been a lot of tension between him and his coordinators. There was a lot of drama with Mike Kafka, snip snap. Is he going to be calling the plays? Is he not? Wink Martindale, the feud there that caused him to resign from his position. And of course, with Shane Bowen, now there's been plenty of controversies. But one thing that I want to highlight here, Alex, you mentioned it, Brian Daboll pointing towards play calling defensively being a problem. That is now a 2-week trend where we are having somebody, key member of the organization, calling out a coaching staff member for their play calling.
True.
The week prior, in week 1, it was Tyrone Tracy Jr. calling out Mike Kafka's play calling. And to Mike Kafka's credit, it did seem to light a fire underneath him, and he was a lot better in week 2. Mm-hmm. Do you think that Daboll's comments can have a similar effect on Shane Bowen, or have you kind of just lost confidence in the guy at this point?
Well, here's kind of the difference. I do think Mike Kafka is more than capable of having a good offense with his play calling. We've seen it before. I don't think Shane Bowen is capable of having a good defense because he's never been a good defensive coordinator. Like, he was the last resort for the Giants. I mean, we're hearing from reporters now that the Giants wanted a more aggressive coordinator. They wanted someone in between Bowen and Wink Martindale style, not necessarily like all or nothing like Wink was. But I would bet anything that the Giants defense wouldn't have given up 40 points yesterday or on Sunday if Wink Martindale was our defensive coordinator.
Agreed.
I would definitely go as far as to say I think that's an accurate statement. But the Giants wanted other people. That's the thing. They unfortunately ended up with Bowen, and they kept him because they knew they could not replace him with anybody better. They wanted some sense of continuity. They wanted consistency in that regard. And when you have a consistently bad coach, it's gonna be bad. Like, nothing's gonna change. Even if you increase the talent, the play calling, the decision making, the schematics are still the same. And we've seen on this team, guys. I mean, Anthony, you could say as much as I can. Coaching has been our biggest flaw at times, right? Mm-hmm. Disciplinary problems, penalties, lack of execution. I mean, we had Russell Wilson literally just launching footballs downfield and letting his receivers make plays. This was not a schematic masterclass by any means. It was Russell Wilson doing what he does best and maximizing the strength. I think it was a good scheme. They finally leaned into what they're good at. But shouldn't that be the case all the time? Why do you got to figure that out after having a bad performance? Shane Bowen is having bad performances and still failing to figure it out, which is where I get a very concerned based on the talent and investment we've made on the defensive side.
Yeah, major investments. I mean, $100 million into the secondary this offseason, a number 3 pick on an edge rusher. Last year, they traded a second-round pick for another edge rusher. The year before that, or 2 years before that, number 5 overall pick on an edge rusher. The amount of investments made into this defense are extreme. And that's exactly right. You're saying it. There's been no adaptability from Shane Bowen. He doesn't learn from his mistakes and course correct and change the scheme. The scheme has just remained the same. Yeah, no innovation. And something else you said there, you're 100% right. There's no way that Wink Martindale is allowing Dallas to put up 40 points because there's no way that Wink Martindale, if he were the defensive coordinator on Sunday, would have allowed Dak Prescott to drop back against a 4-man rush in the dying embers of that game. He would have sent the heat because, like you said, play to the strengths of this team. What are the strengths? The pass rushers up front. And then they're only rushing 4. I don't even know if their best 4 pass rushers were even on the field on that final drive there, because that's something else Shane Bowen does. He likes to take burns off at random times and Kayvon Thibodeau on these crucial third downs and long. Somehow the best pass rushers aren't always on the field in those passing situations, but that's where I really drew a point of contention with Bowen in that game plan. The play calling at the end, we all know it was super conservative, but we just saw last week, Alex, on Thursday Night Football, Eagles versus Cowboys, a completely different way of playing the Cowboys when they were playing from behind, right? The Cowboys against the Eagles were forced to throw the ball downfield to beat you over top. And what happened? Well, CeeDee Lamb dropped a pass and Dak missed a pass and almost got picked, and the Eagles ended up winning the game. And the Giants clearly didn't do their film work and did not notice that that's how the Eagles played it and won the game because of that, because they played it a completely different way. And again, that's got to be a blame to Shane Bowen to sit back and allow Dak Prescott to take what you give him. Dak Prescott is going to take what the defense gives him, is going to pick up yards and put it in the field goal range for Brandon Aubrey, who can comfortably hit field goals from 67 yards out. You have to know that, and you have to say, we're getting after the quarterback, and you're going to have to beat us over the top. I would much rather Alex lose from a Dak Prescott 60-yard bomb downfield to CeeDee Lamb than I would to him dinking and dunking his way down the field into field goal range.
Yeah, and they're playing off the ball. They should have been playing press. They should have been forcing Dak to get through his progressions. Instead, he just sat there and saw the openings in the field, and the Giants gave it to him, right? And then they're basically trying to keep everything in front of them, right? They're trying to make sure they don't have any explosive plays. But they're a bad tackling team, which is another coaching intention as well. They need to work on wrapping up down low and not going up high on tight ends and running backs because their DBs are not strong enough to bring these guys down for the most part, and their angles were poor at times as well. But the Giants got shredded across the board in a lot of instances because they gave Prescott a lot of time. Dak Prescott is one of the best pocket passers in the league. When you give him time in the pocket, he's going to destroy you. He's going to shred you to pieces. The Giants very, very rarely flushed him out of the pocket. And I think that was a big problem and why I think the Giants needed somewhat a little bit more aggressive on the defensive coordinator side of things, because they should have been forcing him to roll out to different sides of his weak points, shrinking the field, undercutting the routes, because he's not going to make these big throws downfield on the run. That's not his game for the most part. He wants to take very efficient throws. He wants to make very easy reads. He wants to take what the defense is giving him. He's a very practical quarterback. He's capable of the big plays, but he's a very smart, practical quarterback, and he will just dink and dunk you to a touchdown. Like, he does it all the time. And the Giants did nothing to confuse him. The coverages were very basic. They didn't confuse him at all with coverage differences. I mean, I watch a lot of times people, they look like they're playing cover zero. They'll drop linebackers. They'll do things to confuse the quarterback, and the Giants don't do those things. They're very easy to read. Their defense is it's vanilla. It's a preseason defense they're playing in the regular season, essentially. It feels that way. And that lack of innovation, that lack of uniqueness, you could say, is pigeonholing them, because smarter quarterbacks are going to destroy you. Patrick Mahomes is going to shred this defense apart on Sunday if they don't get any sense of creativity under their cells right now. Because, like, you're talking about, and then you have Justin Herbert after that. The Giants need to start figuring out ways to get creative, send extra blitzers. They have more than enough talent and speed and athleticism to do it. They're just predictable. You know what I mean? Remember in the past, we talked about Ben McAdoo's offense, Pat Shermer's offense, slants, this, sticks. Like, it was just such an easy offense to predetermine for a defense. But now we're seeing on the defensive side, Wink Martindale's system was entirely based on creativity, entirely based on lack of predictability. You knew he was going to be creative, but you didn't know where it was going to come from. Shane Bowen's defense, like a fifth grader could read. This is like a book where half the horse is drawn like an idiot, and the other half is like the half of its talent is insane. The other half of it looks like a horse that's barely drawn. Like that's kind of what we're seeing here. Like the players are fantastic. Like the talent there is tremendous, but the coaching is holding them back, and that's really concerning because if they end up having a bad season, which they're already on pace to, it's going to be. I'm going to point to the coaching. In this instance, I can't point to the talent because we know they're good, but the players look demoralized too. Like they're very, and the offense finally has a big performance, one of the best we've seen in a decade, and the defense is the one that falls. You know what I mean? Like they can't play a complete game. It's really demoralizing across the board.
No, I do agree with you. And you mentioned it, Patrick Mahomes on Sunday. The Giants are going to need to run a more complex defense because that is the guy you need to try to confuse. You're not going to confuse him often. He's one of the best quarterbacks at the line of scrimmage, reading coverages pre and post snap. Patrick Mahomes, there's a reason he is Patrick Mahomes. And so if the Giants defense doesn't bring their A game on Sunday night, if Shane Bowen doesn't bring his A game and try and confuse Mahomes, well, he's going to take what the defense gives him and he's going to pick you apart. And then, like you said, week 4, Jay Herbo's coming to town. He looks like the league MVP, arguably. I mean, he was spectacular again last night. Herbert and the Chargers are a really good team. The schedule's not going to let up for the New York Giants. The defense needs to get things together as soon as possible. So, I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. Shane Bowen, like we said, when we're looking at the way that he's performed, I'm not going to call him a scapegoat, but I'm also going to acknowledge here as we wrap up, he's not the sole reason that the Giants lost this game. They didn't convert enough in the red zone. The penalties were on both sides of the ball, even on special teams. So while I think he deserves the brunt of the blame, while I'm definitely not thrilled with the way Shane Bowen's performed through the first 2 weeks of the season, there are other factors at play here, and the Giants, they're running out of time. Need to iron things out here as we move through the rest of the season. But guys, let us know your thoughts down below in the comment section. How much blame are you giving to Shane Bowen? All of it, none of it, some of it? Let us know. And also, let us know what else you're expecting from Bowen and this defense as we head into week 3 versus the Kansas City Chiefs. If that's going to do it, make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new. Leave your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you're listening to Apple or Spotify, make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. Without further ado, we'll catch you all in the next one. Have a good one. And let's go, New York Giants.